Hello and welcome to episode number 533 of Smart Podcast Trashy Books. I'm Sarah Wendell and my guest is Alisha Rai. One weekend, Alisha got married, and then 2 weeks later, a new book came out. So we have a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about her wedding, the parties, and how part of her wedding was at a celebrity's mansion. We're going to talk about her newest book, Partners in Crime, which is so fun. And we're going to talk about writing great capers. So please come party and reminisce and celebrate with us. Hello and thank you to our Patreon community. Hello, folks. Thank you so much for supporting the show. We have bonus episodes for the Patreon folks. We have a Discord server coming very soon. I'm actually setting up the permissions right now. And we have lots of fun discussing each episode. So if you would like to join the Patreon community, please have a look at patreon.com/smartbitches. And hello to Rachel G. I have a compliment today. Honeybees like to nap in flowers because they have their little bee bums hanging out. And the reason that they do this is because they know that if you see it, you will smile. And bees love to make you smile. If you would like to have a compliment of your own, again, patreon.com/smartbitches. This episode is brought to you in part by a new advertiser, Honeylove, where you can find the perfect, comfortable shapewear, bras, panties, and leggings. That sounds like my daily uniform. How about you? We have an exclusive deal for our listeners. For a limited time only, you can get Honeylove's best deal that they offer. Get 20% off your whole order with code Sarah at honeylove.com. Honeylove is here to revolutionize the shapewear industry. Instead of overly tight, sticky fabrics that roll up or down when you least want them to, Honeylove offers comfortable target compression technology that supports your midsection without, if you're me, feeling kind of ill from all the tightness. You don't have to worry about Honeylove's Superpower Short rolling down either, and this is a problem I have all the time with my own curves. The Superpower Short is supportive without being constricting, and the design is so thoughtful. Honeylove also offers more than just sculpt wear. They have supremely comfortable bras, tank tops, and leggings. The crossover bra is the most popular, and I understand why. It offers support, yes please, without underwires. Oh, yes please. The quality of their products is outstanding, and the details are so thoughtful and logical. You will feel incredible in Honeylove. No matter the occasion, you deserve to look and feel your absolute best. Get 20% off at honeylove.com with code Sarah. Calling all of my honeys, you deserve this. This episode is brought to you in part by a new advertiser, Next Evo Naturals. If you've been thinking about trying CBD or you've been hearing a lot about the benefits of CBD, may I suggest trying Next Evo Naturals. Next Evo Naturals are unique CBD gummies that were developed to be fast-acting and effective. And there are two kinds, one for stress and one for sleep. And you can probably guess the one that I tried first. I love sleep. I'm all about getting good sleep. And CBD can help when you have trouble sleeping. It helps me relax, so I fall asleep easier and I stay asleep longer. Next Evo Naturals were developed with SmartSorb technology that improves and speeds up the CBD absorption, so I feel the difference in as little as 10 minutes. Next Evo's triple action CBD sleep helps me get more refreshing rest naturally. Not only is there CBD to calm my brain down, but the gummy also includes fast-acting melatonin, so I get to sleep fast, and controlled-release melatonin, so I sleep longer and wake up feeling, well, like I had really good sleep, because I did. Next Evo is the only brand to combine these proprietary ingredients in one product. Get a better night's rest and a better day tomorrow with products from Next Evo Naturals. For up to 25% off subscription orders of $40 or more, use promo code Sarah at nextevo.com. That's NEXTEVO.com, promo code Sarah. Wilbur thinks you should order some too. Are you ready to do a podcast? Let's talk books and weddings with Alisha Rai.
Hi.
Hi.
What's it been, like 4 days?
I know.
I feel like we're back. I feel like we're back recording the old podcast because like we just spoke for like
I know
so
forever.
long.
I know.
How you doing? Did you get any sleep?
I'm still recovering. It has not been that long. I fell asleep like standing in the shower the other morning. So that's about how good it's going. I think we're both just so exhausted. Like it was such a go few days, and on top of that, like high emotional stress, high psychological stress. So
I mean,
it wasn't
it's just a wedding that you were throwing yourselves.
Yes.
Over
Correct.
3-4 days.
Correct. Yeah. Just multiple events that we had to coordinate ourselves.
All right. So I want you to know there was a moment in the reception where the DJ said, if anyone would like to say any words. And I did not stand up, but I want you to know it was a real close thing because I really wanted to get up there and just start another episode of Love Struck. See how quickly you would have jumped up and like done the intro.
I would have immediately jumped up and done the intro. Yeah. They asked us if we wanted to do an open mic after our scheduled toast, like after our bridal party toasts were done.
Yeah.
And we were like, yeah, that sounds fun. And Kai's parents were like very anti this. Like they argued with him because they're like, 90 people are going to get up and make a toast. And I was like, actually, I think nobody's going to get up because people they need a minute once they're put on the spot.
Yeah.
But I think it would be a nice gesture in case there is like somebody out there who wants to jump up and just
burning need to start something.
Dying to say something. And the DJ was really good. Like she said to us beforehand, like they go too long, or if you don't like what they're saying, just give me a nod and I'll cut them off. It's not a big deal.
Your DJ's going to play off the speeches.
Yeah. I was like, oh, cool. You're going to like get a big hook and knock them out of the place. That's fantastic.
Start playing them off like at the Oscars.
I wasn't worried at all, but his parents were just like, they're going to be talking forever. And then so when nobody came up for the open mic, I was like so vindicated. Afterwards, like Kai and I were so smug. We're like, see. But I did hear a lot of people, our videographer had set up a camera outside. So I did hear a lot of people went out and said things there for us to listen to later. So I'm happy about that.
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
So, Alisha.
Yes,
congratulations on many, many things. Lots of things. A whole series of things, like a whole pile of things.
Yes.
Would you recommend getting married and releasing a book in a 2-week span?
No. Shockingly, I would not recommend this. I would not recommend this one bit. This has been probably the most stressed out. I mean, they're both good things, right?
They're both wonderful things, but they require a lot of attention in the lead up and then in the aftermath.
Correct. Yes. Very much so. I mean, I think it's a book release is kind of weird in that you would think that once you write the book, you don't have a lot to do with it.
No.
But you actually, it actually just ramps up more after that.
Oh yeah, once it's done.
Oh yeah, once they have like the widget to sell, there's like 10 million things that you as the chief creator of the widget have to do on top of that. And so
please put that on your business cards, by the way. Chief widget creator.
Yeah. Chief widget creator. Yeah, that's what it feels like sometimes where I'm like, okay, I've given you this product. Should like automate, right? And it's like, no, it's not going to automate. And so there's interviews to do. There's like things to write for it. There are, signings to arrange. There's just emails to answer. There's nonsense emails to answer all the time. And so it's just a lot of administrative work. Then on top of that, with the wedding, I mean, we had a coordinator, like we had a day of coordinator, but we didn't have a wedding planner because we were like, we got this, no big deal. I used to be a florist. I can handle this. I've planned weddings before. But I did not anticipate planning a wedding with my own family with our own families and their very high emotions. Like that had never been something I had to deal with before because I was the vendor before, like I wasn't in the mix. And so that was like an enormous period of stress as well. So like that did really complicate things
a little bit
than I thought it would. Yes.
That's why in the movie The Wedding Planner, if you remember the opening sequence, she has this utility belt and on it is Valium and she just gives it to the parents. Just gives them Valium. Here you go. Take this.
Oh man. I wish I had just carried that with me. It was a close call there. A little just like, pop this in your mouth, please.
Just put this under your tongue for a few minutes. You'll be fine.
Leave me alone for a few minutes.
So have they left you alone now that it's done?
Not really.
See, that's not cool.
No, you would think. I said to Kai that we are never doing anything like that, never throwing a party again that requires any kind of like parental input. whatsoever. Like I know babies are going to come and, like that's going to require some work and stuff like that. But I feel like now we have the experience to be like, no, and just walk away. Because I realized that we should have shut a lot of things down early that we did not. That was our biggest takeaway from this.
If I could give you a small piece of advice.
Please do. I love your advice.
When you have babies, it's much like a wedding. Everyone loses their mind over the things that they think are so very important, and you have to do it this way and you must do it this way. And this is the way that you do it. And when you are blending two very different families and two very different cultures, all of a sudden things that they hadn't talked about before become like the most important thing.
Oh yeah. The most minor things became like huge deals. Yeah.
But I also found that when I had a baby, it was a lot easier for me to set firm and clear boundaries because I was doing it on behalf of someone else. And it was my job to set boundaries for them. It was harder for me to set boundaries for me because these are my parents, right? Like they installed my buttons. Of course, they know how to press them. Like, they were there for the install. They know how to press all of my buttons. Very low effort.
Right.
But when I was in the process of thinking, okay, what are the boundaries for my child? I was like, okay, everyone's listening to me and no one says a word. And everyone makes fun of Bridezilla. No one fucks with a new mom.
Yeah.
Zero fucking with a new mom.
I was like, Bridezillas are not made in a vacuum.
No, they are not. No, they are not.
It's just, yeah. But yeah, I do not recommend, long story short, I do not recommend releasing a book back to back with a wedding. It seems
like a lot from where I'm sitting.
It was a lot.
And I was just
a guest. Was a lot. Yes. Well, you were more than a guest. That is can I tell you, like Kai, when we got back, said, if we ever do anything with our families again, like a vacation or something, Sarah and Adam have to come with us.
Why? Just because we diffuse the tension or we take out the trash?
No, both things. You are very good at counseling us from losing our like everything because the day I kind of melted down was the day of our rehearsal, which was on Friday of the weekend. Yes. And like I was sobbing in the car outside of our wedding venue. Like, and poor Kai is like, trying his best, but didn't know what to do. But we went to dinner that night and then we saw you at the same restaurant.
Yes, we were across the restaurant from each other.
And so we came over and sat with you and we talked it through and we felt so much better afterwards. So you were really our emotional
We're your emotional support wedding guests.
Yes, you are. And so after that, I was like, they just have to come with us.
Okay. All right. So I have a question. Do you want to talk about the book first or do you want to talk about the wedding first? Because I have some things to ask about both.
Oh, let's talk about the book first.
Okay. So first of all, I have done this 3 times on 3 different podcasts. So everyone who's listening is going to hear me say this one more time. I owe you an apology. I fucking inhaled this book. I deep gorped it. Like how like you just unhinge your jaw and eat a sandwich. That was me with this book. I squeed about it on like 3 different Discords. I emailed Christina and Lauren, was like, oh my God, have you read it? It's so good. It is so fucking delightful. You did an outstanding job. And I'm that asshole who would be like, so let me tell you about the part I didn't like, which I'm not going to do because I friggin' loved this book so much. It was so fun. I could not handle myself. It was brilliant.
Thank you. That makes me so happy.
Point in fact, I also enjoyed your wedding, but let's go back to the book.
Right.
Good job on all of the tasks all of this month.
Right.
How long have you been working on this plot? What inspired this one?
Oh, I've been working on it for about 2 years.
Yeah. And you mentioned I'm writing a heist and I was like, oh. Really?
Yeah, I started writing it, I think, in 2020, sort of in the pandemic, and which was hard because I was also working on books that were contracted at the time, and this was not contracted.
Oh, this was just for you.
Yeah, this was just something I started on my own because I really wanted to write like a heisty kind of like adventure book. It's not really a heist. I would say it's more of a caper. Would you say it's got like heist elements?
Hijinks.
Yes, it's got hijinks. It's very much like kind of hangover-ish in that like, they're trying to solve something and find something. But so I started working on it. And I think it was just because I needed an adventure. Like I'd never been to Las Vegas before. Now I've been like a billion times, but I'd never been to Las Vegas before. And that was the first vacation Kai and I took together during the pandemic. because we met shortly before the pandemic. And so we hadn't really gotten a chance to get away anywhere. So we went there and we stayed in a hotel room for like a weekend. That was it. We didn't see anybody. We didn't do anything, but it was such a wonderful, like glamorous staycation, I thought. And I thought, and after that, like I just kind of, every time we went, I fell a little bit more in love with the city. And so I thought I got to like set a book here. And the only thing I could think of for the perfect book here would be like a caper, like something where it's like, date night-esque, hangover-esque, where like they're going from place to place. They got to find something, they're looking for something. And so that's where it started. And it just kind of came out of that. And I pitched it to my editor and I said, initially pitched it as Indian matchmaking meets date night, which in the end, it doesn't have quite as much to do with either, but that was the initial pitch. And she was like,
but it's got that energy. It's got that energy.
Yeah. But in the beginning, that's kind of what it started as. And she was like, okay, I'm like game to listen for more. And so I wrote up the synopsis, I sent her and she's like, I love this. It's fantastic. And so we went from there, but it has been a long time in the making. I write a lot of my books, I spend a lot of time on writing a lot of books. I'm not as prolific as some other romance authors. Like one a year is plenty, or even two a year is like pushing it for me. But this one has been in the stew for a while.
And it's very complex. There's a lot of moving parts to this plot.
I had, that meme from Always Sunny with the string and that is what my office looked like. I had a bulletin board. I'm not kidding. It was like, I was actually solving a crime. Like I got architecture paper from somewhere, those big rolls, and I unrolled it and I taped it to the windows to follow along with the plot. But it is extremely complicated in a good way, I hope. Like I hope it's not so complicated that you can't follow it. Mm-hmm. But it's a complex plot that had a lot of moving parts that I'm not, I write rom-coms that are complex, but not like that, like not where there's also a mystery and, things going on beyond the surface. So yeah, it was a lot to keep track of.
Usually your plots deal with either a big family secret or a lot of layered family drama. Right. And how the drama affects everyone else.
So soap opera.
Yes, very soap opera. This was not only soap opera, family drama, both sides, but also caper heist, hijinks, pursuit. I mean, there was a lot going on in here.
Yeah, there was a lot. Trust me, it was a lot. It was a lot to write it. Yeah, it was fun.
Now, I want to ask you specifically about one element. Obviously, when a book is new, I don't do spoilers in the podcast, so we're not going to go into spoiler territory here. But one of the things that is within the first few chapters is your heroine, Mira, has coping mechanisms. They're not all healthy, but she's actively engaged in the internal landscape of her anxiety. And I noticed that this is a common theme among a lot of your characters. You had a character with tattoos who would trace the tattoos as a way of grounding herself when she was feeling panicking anxiety. You have characters that work on breathing. You have characters that center themselves. And you have characters, especially in this book, that go to therapy. And you have a lot of work on the internal landscape of the characters and their struggles with mental health. So not only do we have family drama and a jewel caper, but we have mental health care and also hot sex as a way of bringing the two characters together. Do you think about the mental health care aspects as you're plotting, or is that something that just gets baked in because this is the way that you manage your brain?
I think a lot of it is baked into the story. But there's some things that I do very consciously. I mean, I try to write as consciously as possible in general, but there are definitely, when it comes to mental health things, I want to handle them as delicately and as respectfully as possible. So I do spend a lot of time making sure that, I've represented the character to the best of my ability. I have a lot of experience with anxiety, as you may or may not know. And
funny enough, me too.
Yes, I have a lot of experience with, not having sort of a neurotypical brain. So I have, that's personal experience, but also, I have a lot of very great friends and family who, talk to me about, what's going on with them. And that sort of, when I'm shaping a character, I take a little bit of this and a little bit of that, but I do it very consciously and very deliberately. And I do think, especially like, adults today are very, very conscious, of their mental health and of how they were raised and the trauma they carry from that and how it plays out in their life and with their with their families, their found families, their friends, their loved ones. I think it's something that it weighs on a lot of people. And so I think it's important to create characters who are adults now who also, handle that. They also have to deal with that and have to come to some sort of acknowledgement of that within themselves.
Yeah, it provides a foundation for the characters to grow, but also exhibit how much they've already grown. These are characters that are already working on finding their own best way to be. And then the story is part of that, but it doesn't start at the very beginning.
Right. And it doesn't start at the end either.
No.
We're all works in progress. And one thing that always used to bug me when I was single, and which I will never, ever say to any single person, is that, oh, well, you have to work on yourself, before you can get in a relationship, or you have to be okay with being single, or you have to be okay with being lonely. Like you have to be perfect before you can find somebody who loves you as you are. And that's two contradictory messages. Somebody should be able to meet you where you are, wherever that might be in your journey, and as well as your mental health journey. So that's really important for me to show, is that, they might have coping mechanisms and they might be conscious and be going to therapy, but these are just normal people who have normal people problems, and nobody is perfect.
Nope. And nobody's immune from feeling anxious either.
Right. Yes, absolutely.
So, are any of the characters in this book going to become a sequel? You left some sequel bait doors open. Don't think I didn't notice.
There are some sequel bait doors. Who do you think is going to become a sequel?
Okay, sequel bait characters. Let's see. Can I say without spoiling? Just thinking about the plot.
Maybe don't say the name. Just say their relation.
Okay, so there is a sibling who could become a sequel bait. There is a friend who could become sequel bait. I mean, heck, I would read about the matchmaker. She sounds like a terror. She sounds like a terror.
I think she might be retiring soon, so we'll see about her. So the sibling is who is slated for the next book. So I'm writing that now.
Oh, and the friend on both. There's friends on both sides that could be sequel bait.
There are friends on both sides. Her friend
and his friend.
Yes. But it's the sibling. It's the sibling and possibly some other characters who are in there. You might see them. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yes.
Was Naveen inspired by Prince Naveen from The Princess and the Frog?
No, but I have held for a long time that Prince Naveen from Princess and the Frog is an Indian, Raja or whatever, he is.
Yeah, I thought that was established.
No, I believe in the movie they gave him some fake country. He's not Indian in the movie, but he has an Indian name and he looks Indian.
That's what I thought. Clearly, I wasn't paying attention to that name at all because I was like, Naveen?
Yeah,
Naveen from...
Yeah, I was like,
because
oh my God.
They have the same energy.
Yeah, they do have the same energy. It's maybe subconsciously, sure, I did, because he is one of my favorite princes. I think he's very cool.
He's just a relentlessly cheerful guy who screws up.
Yes.
And they have that positive sort of, okay, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to do things for other people. I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to keep going. And he's very optimistic. They have very similar energy.
Naveen was probably more inspired by a lot of attorneys I know who have, he has kind of a silver tongue. He can kind of talk his way out of any situation. When he can't talk his way, I mean, that's when Mira comes in. So to get the big guns out. But he has very much a silver tongue. And I do know, he has had to deal with stuff in the past that I think a lot of attorneys have to deal with in terms of mental health and in terms of substance abuse and things like that. It is one of the professions that has the highest rates of alcoholism. So, and it's functional, right? He's still functional and he had to sort of go through that. So yeah, I would say he's probably inspired by a lot of attorneys, maybe sexier than
a little bit.
So yeah, I think a lot of that was pulled from my legal experience of knowing that that's what a lot of attorneys have to deal with, and the high burnout and everything like that.
Oh, yeah.
So,
and Prince Naveen.
And Prince Naveen, possibly.
So.
Yes.
Just say it was. Oh, yeah, absolutely. All right. So wedding questions.
Yes.
What were your favorite memories of the wedding?
Favorite memories of the wedding.
Do you remember it? I swear it happened. I saw the whole thing.
I have so many. Before the wedding, you told me to take a snapshot.
Mental snapshot. Yeah, I give this
of
advice to a lot of people.
Of one moment.
Yeah.
And I tried to take so many. Like I got greedy. And so I think one of my favorite moments was when our grand entrance where we came in, and there's a tradition. Kai is Liberian. There's a tradition, and Ghanaian, and there's a tradition with it's called the lapa, where like the aunts come forward with like their cloths, and they kind of rub.
Yeah, they rub you with the cloths.
We dance with them. We walk on the cloth, and so it was such a like warm and loving tradition that I hadn't really experienced before. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. Because I loved his aunts, like we all became pretty close over the weekend. And so I was like, this is so like such a loving, accepting tradition. And I loved it so much. I think our first dance is a memory that we're going to
That was incredible. It was a whole montage. You did a montage.
We did a medley of 3 songs, and it was choreographed. And I'm sad that we don't get to practice that dance anymore, because we practiced for months for that dance.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It showed.
So we were like, we should take dance lessons now so we can keep like dancing or something, because we really enjoyed it. That's a memory. I think, there's just so many great memories. It was like just dancing with everyone. Like our goal in the beginning was to have a wedding where people were dancing till the end. And we got that. Like
yes,
people were on the dance floor, on their feet from beginning to end. And that was really, really cool. Just to have that dance floor packed was so fun. Watching Kai do the Kid and Play dance with his brother, I think was
adorable.
Or watching my nephew, like he was doing I don't know. He was doing some dance, and
Whip and Nene.
Oh yeah, he was doing Whip and Nene.
And he didn't realize, because he was facing the DJ,
so he didn't know he was.
He didn't realize that everyone was watching him
in a semicircle.
He was the showcase, and we were all. He was just getting down.
Yeah. He loves it. I mean, he's like 9 years old, and he was just like killing it on the dance floor.
It was amazing.
But yeah, there's so many moments, or like my older nephew doesn't like, he's very somber and serious. Like he's like a little old man in kids' clothes. And at one point, like we were doing some dance, and I looked over at him and I smiled, and he like gave me the biggest, cheesiest grin back. And I was like, oh, that's like something I'm going to remember forever, I think.
So I have to tell you something about the Mendi and the Hindu service.
Yes.
So we were at a mansion.
Yes.
And you found this on Airbnb?
Okay. So I found this on Pure Space.
Pure Space?
Yes. So
the hell is a Pure Space?
A Pure Space is like Airbnb for events. So you can't have events at Airbnbs anymore.
Oh.
And so Pure Space or Gigster, like they are services designed to let you rent a place for a party for a specific amount of time. And I found this mansion on there, and I thought it was wildly, like it was like $300 an hour, which for the market in the other comparable,
that's very reasonable.
Very reasonable for that area, for the size of the house. I mean, the house was full kitchen and no rules really. It was like, 75 people max. It was kind of like a loosey-goosey go. No age restrictions, nothing about like serving, like no restrictions on serving alcohol, which we didn't really serve, but it was fine. No restrictions on anything. Like you could do whatever you wanted. And it charged like kind of a hefty cleaning fee, but I was like, well, it's a mansion in Vegas. I'm sure they have to clean up a lot of stuff.
And it was white floor, white walls,
white everything. Everything was white.
Everything was white.
And like when we got there, it was almost like somebody, like a lot of these places are like staged places. Like they're not places people live.
Oh yeah. Staging. When my house was staged to sell, it was like aliens that matched their patterns lived in my house with me. And it was really weird.
And this was like a staged place, but there was also like when we walked in the front of the bar, all of these like bottles of very fancy liquor were like arranged and they were like half drunk. And I was like, that's kind of weird. So we put those liquors away because we're like, I don't think we're allowed to touch these. I don't want to deal with like someone drinking it by accident. So we put them like to the side because I didn't want any issues with it. They were really accommodating. They let us come in early to set up at like 7 a.m. And then we went and changed afterwards, which was its own stress. But they let us come in early to set up. They didn't charge us for that time. We were supposed to leave by 4. We didn't leave until 5 because, it took a while to get everybody out the door and clean up and everything. And I had texted them around 3:30 and I was like, hey, we're going to be an extra hour. If you want to add an hour to our booking, that's fine with me.
Yeah.
And the guy texted me back and he was like, yeah, no problem. I'm going to be there in like 20 minutes. So you guys just do your thing. And I was like, okay, all right, cool. And so it was all like a little weird. Like everything was a little bit like, this seems odd. And the guy just introduced himself as the property manager. And that was it.
He didn't even tell me his name because I was there
Yes,
early.
you were.
Yeah.
You were like our chief coordinator that day because you were the only one. I was like, and I was so glad I told you to go early because like we had some family drama, there were fights. And so like we were late. And Sarah was there like directing our caterer. Like I heard Sarah in the background, the priest called and he was like, hi, I'm here to set up. I don't see you. I don't see your sister yet. And because we were the 2 point of contacts for him. And I hear Sarah in the background going, hi, I'm Sarah. I'm in charge.
Until you got there, yeah. The thing is, if you tell Adam, be somewhere at 11:30, he will be there.
He will be. Yeah, you were like, I called you at 11:20 and you're like, I am 8 minutes away. I will be there. And so Sarah like got him set up and I said to the priest, yep, that is Sarah and that she is in charge. He's like, okay, I'll talk to Sarah. And he like, you set him up beautifully and showed him where to go and everything. So I was very grateful for that. I was so glad you were there. And then at the end of the party, my brother-in-law comes out and like, we were not like, there was a mudroom there that we were using the fridge in because something had happened with the fridge in the kitchen.
Oh, I asked, they cut the water line to the main fridge got, and for the record, the space for the fridge was like massive. This had to have been 2 fridges. It was enormous, the space available for this fridge.
Like, and he was like really apologetic. He's like, I'm so sorry you have to use this back fridge. And we're like, that's fine. And so my brother-in-law went in there and like happened to notice, or was snooping, I don't know, he's a curious guy, happened to notice a flyer like tossed in the recycling bin, and he noticed the name on it. And I will not say the name on it because I do not want to blow anything up. But it was a rather famous sports person.
Very famous.
Even I know who it is.
Yes.
And so he came out like running and he's like, have you seen this? And we're all like gathered around looking at it. And then my friend Allie goes, guys, there's Ring cameras all around here. They're like hearing and, seeing what we're doing right now. And so I was like, drop it. So he dropped the thing on the floor. There's like a photo of it on the floor, but yeah, like, I don't know.
We were partying in a famous person's house.
Oh, I got married, religiously married in a famous person's house.
Yes. So conveniently with a lot of taxidermy and Ganesha.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That was the other thing. Like when we walked in, I had bought like a little Ganesha like cutout for the actual ceremony, like as decor. And we walked in and there's a huge giant stone one just sitting in front.
I was like, did you put this in the car? This is really heavy. Who's carrying this out?
Yeah. And like, I was like, does an Indian person own this house? And then my friend goes, there's like taxidermied animals everywhere.
There was so much taxidermy. There was an absolutely astonishing amount of taxidermy involved in this house.
So she was like, I think it's a white guy who just thought it was cool. And sure enough, that's probably what it was. I mean, that was the thing that we were talking about later, is that in a lot of ways, like, our parents like actively hindered us in a lot of ways, like in getting this done. It just because of their own anxieties, like not because they were trying to sabotage us or anything like that, but their own anxieties about us being able to pull this off, and their doubts about us really were challenging. But the only reason like both days came out perfect, our Hindu ceremony and our, Western ceremony, were because of our friends. Like our friends showed up, like showed out, like helped us in every way. You, especially Sarah, like you were our day of coordinator that day. Like we don't know how we would have done it, because I think I assumed that there wouldn't be like somebody trying to like hold us, trying to throw wrenches in the process. And there were a few people trying to throw wrenches in the process.
Yep. And because we're friends, I'm not a member of your family. I don't care.
Yeah,
I'll just be like, I think Adam took the trash out like 12 times.
Yeah, he was very much on top of the trash, which was very helpful.
And like, he was like, I'm going to put this in here. Because, we've done enough entertaining and his mother is always entertained. He always talks to his mom on Sundays. So I actually took the earpiece out of his ear and stuck it in my ear. I was like, Charlene, hey, it's Sarah. Now, first of all, I don't talk on the phone. So there's this long pause and she goes, Sarah? I'm like, yeah, I have to tell you. I have to tell you how proud you should be of your son because we went in, we set up the food, we cleaned up, he took out the trash. He was just doing everything. Didn't need to be asked, didn't even like, what do I need to do? He just like stepped in, took out the trash. Well, then we told her that whose trash we were taking out in this house. And then I remember, so the hotel was very, very nice. The toilet paper at the hotel, not so great. Not great.
Really?
The toilet paper in the hotel, not my favorite thing. It was very, very thin. But the toilet paper at the celebrity's house, that was some high quality Charmin. So I just want you to know we stole toilet paper. We just rolled up some toilet paper, took it back to the hotel. And it was my idea. Like, of course, I'm married to an attorney. He would never think of minor larceny of toilet paper. I'm like, you should take some of the toilet paper. Yes. So we now have a square of commemorative toilet paper in our house.
I will be honest. We did keep that recycled mailer.
Yes. Excellent. I'm very proud of you.
So you're in good company. We all did it a little bit, but we were just like, oh my God, it was. I was so like that day was probably the most stressful day for me. And I was so happy when it was done. And I thought the next day will be smooth sailing. And then it started out
hard. It's very hard.
DIY is very hard. And like I said, I think if, it hadn't been made so challenging, I think it would have like we had over planned like everything, like including going there so early in the morning. Like we had the chips set in the bowls, like we had everything ready to go.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like everything.
We walked in and there was like 5 people and everything was like 80% done. We just needed to put chips
and then greet everybody, which is like which is a huge thing. So like so grateful again that you were there. It was quite an event. It was quite a weekend.
It was beautiful.
But the events were made possible by our friends. Like we are 100% like I was said we are so lucky in the friends and the siblings we have. Like my older sister, Kai's older brother, like they really were like big siblings this time. Like they really took over and did a lot of stuff.
Oh, I want to tell you, you had the temporary tattoos at the Mendy. These are so good.
Yeah, aren't they amazing?
Good.
So I got those from an independent henna artist in San Diego. Her name's Gopi Henna, Gopihenna. And she sells those on Etsy and they're her own artwork and they're really amazing. I'm glad you used one because I thought nobody used them. I was like, there's so many left.
Me and Sasha did, both of us.
Oh, good.
I didn't want to take too many because I wanted other people to have, but I love this thing. I love it so much.
Good. I'm so glad you like it. And it's lasted a long time, huh? It looks like a real tattoo.
It does.
Actually.
It does. It looks really like good. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay, cool.
Is your henna still on?
Yeah, mine is still on. It's starting to fade now, but it's still there.
Gorgeous.
I'm going to be a little bit sad when it's gone. I was thinking maybe taking like an element from it and having like a real tattoo on my wrist or something from it. Just as like a memory. But we'll see. I'm trying to figure out which piece I like or what I would want from it. Yeah. I mean, I have photographs from it from every angle, so it's not an issue of someone recreating it. But yeah, my henna artist was fantastic. Her name was Jasmine in Las Vegas, like Divine Henna, I think is there. I couldn't post anything that week because I was so stressed out and tired and everything. But now that I'm back, I'm going to share things. And I'm really excited to share the vendors that we really loved because I think that they were mostly independent, and all to a fault, like amazing, like all small businesses, family owned things, except for our main wedding venue and except for I guess even the place we peer spaced was just not owned by somebody who needs the money, but maybe not getting that money as we.
I did Google the address and found it on a wedding website for someone who's getting married on the 28th of October.
Oh, okay.
It said venue change, and then I almost emailed them. I was like, "Listen,
And be careful.
It's going to be great, but just be prepared that you have to use the fridge in the laundry room. Otherwise, everything's great.
Yeah.
What books are you reading, if any, that you want to talk about?
So my next book is The Christmas Wish by Lindsay Kelk. I'm doing an event with her in December. I'm very excited about that. She seems very lovely.
Is it weird that there are things that happen after your wedding?
Yeah, it is a little weird that things are like the world continues to turn and I'm not at the center of it anymore.
No, I remember very clearly, I got married on May 28th, and I remember very clearly saying to Adam at one point, do you know there's going to be a May 29th?
Yeah, there's going to be a whole week after this, and then a month, and then a year. Like the world's going to keep on turning. It's weird. But yeah, so that's happening in December. I'm very excited about that. She seems lovely. Online, we're like Instagram buds. So I'm going to read that next. I also have Sally Thorne's Angelica Frankenstein Meets Her Match, which I just got. It came in the mail during my wedding, and it looks adorable. It's based on her, or her inspiration was her little gothic mini dollhouse.
Yes, I've seen it on Instagram. It's amazing.
But the last book that I read that was amazing was Sonali Dev's The Emma Project. And it's part of her 4-book kind of Pride and Prejudice series. And it's very good and very excellent. And also Alyssa Sussman's Funny You Should Ask, which is, I know, like a book talk sensation, but it's great. I really love it.
Awesome. Where can people find you if you wish to be found? And then I have one more thing to tell you.
I always wish to be found, and they can find me on Instagram at Alisha Rai Writes. They can find me on TikTok at The Real Alisha Rai, and less so now, but they can find me on Twitter at Alisha Rai.
Okay.
Or just go to my website.
That's fine.
Yeah.
All right. So, I end every podcast episode with a bad joke. I have a very specific joke that I'm going to tell now instead of doing it in the outro.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah, tell me.
Did you hear about the Indian restaurant that has their employees sign a legal agreement that they won't share any recipes?
No.
It's their non-disclosure agreement.
Sarah.
I know. It's so bad, isn't it?
Oh, groan.
I found that and I was like, oh, I have to use that for Alicia's episode. Oh, I could tell it to her while we're recording so someone can hear the groan as opposed to just making the groan noise themselves. Thank you for doing a podcast so soon after your wedding.
Oh, no problem. I love to talk to you. Thank you for helping solve multiple fires.
No problem. And that brings us to the end of this week's episode. I already did the joke. How bad was the joke? Did it make you groan? I mean, it made Alisha groan. That's why I saved it for her. I will have links to all of the books we talked about and all of the places where you can find Alisha in the show notes at smartbitchestrashybooks.com/podcast. And I will link to her Instagram and her TikTok videos if you would like to see her henna up close. It's really gorgeous. Like, I couldn't stop looking at her hands, which is a little creepy when you're having like drinks with somebody and you just stare at their hands the whole time. I couldn't help it. It's really gorgeous. And I will link to all of those places in the show notes as well. On behalf of everyone here, we wish you the very best of reading. We will see you back here next week. Smart Podcast Trashy Books is part of the Frolic Podcast Network. You can find outstanding podcasts to subscribe to at frolic.media/podcasts.